drive lane, I can bring it over. I just didn't know if it would help you guys from sinking. Yeah.
Is it as bad as you thought?
Huh?
Is it as bad as you thought?
No, I'm just seeing the extra little holes and crashes and broken boards and
They hit a sign or something on the way in. The corner.
a sign.
Yeah, they hit a sign or something on the way in, or a tree or something. I was saying something about when you go to. They'll come out and fix it though.
And I just saw a broken board down there.
We'll fix that.
Huh?
We'll fix that.
I'm not saying anything. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Just put it that way. I didn't.
You didn't build this up enough to get the stuff on. That's what I was afraid of.
Well, that's what I told him today. I told him when he called me, I said, dude, I said, the mud's still wet. Because I've been down here for 16 months, and I'm telling you, the day after it rains is not the time to do anything. It looks like it's dry, but that's just surface. I mean, the rest of it, you'll just, because this is nothing but old farmland. So there's no clay, no rock, no nothing underneath it to catch it.
It'd be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. So it's just not going high enough? Do you want that wood? There's a big piece of plywood in the drive lane. Well, I mean, just to put underneath it. it's actually pulled away. Matt, my shit's pieces. It looks like it's the porch post. That first post is gonna go.
You know what you guys did wrong? You should have started with that end. Put that end on first.
Tell him. Because I would have done the same thing. Heads up, Matt. We'll be doing this again next summer.
Oh,
Yeah, we're bringing in a second one next summer. Bless you.
Hey, he's about to bust this wood and rip it right off the post. it down, Matt. Going out.
Oh shit.
All right, that's all we got right there. That's all we got. Here's what the deal.
It's only half nerve-wracking.
I wondered how they was going to get that up there, but how long is that?
52 foot.
Oh, is it 52 foot long?
Yeah, that's as legal as loud you're allowed to get on the road without putting it on the back of a semi.
I was wondering how in the world they was going to get that up there.
I don't think they know how they're going to get it up
I
there.
don't know.
But see, like these piers down here are 3.5 foot,
Yeah.
and those down there are 4 foot off the ground because of the elevation.
Yeah. It don't look like it falls that much, but it surely does.
And I was surprised. I actually was surprised about how much of a slope there was when they started leveling it out. But the one guy over there, he's like, I tell y'all what y'all did wrong. He's like, y'all should have put that end on first, talking about the lower end,
Yeah.
and then focusing on putting the higher end up.
Yeah.
But I think they were so concerned about the higher end, because I've got a big 10-foot hole over here from where they took all the dirt out to build up that hill. And they busted boards underneath. There's scratches all across the front, but they promised me that they're going to fix it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I hope so.
I was thinking, I've done a little bit of building myself, and I thought, how are they going to get that?
Well, the only reason they did this off-site was because last year when we bought it, and I was down at property planning and zoning, doing all the permits and stuff, he was like, yeah, I should only take you a few months. And I was like, well, okay. So I told them, I said, well, why don't you guys build it off-site since you can travel it on the road, and once I get finished with permits, you guys should be able to move it back in.
Yeah.
Well, then here we are a year and a half later, still, I just got my septic permit 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and I had that thing put in the ground so fast he couldn't even say boo.
Yeah.
The morning that he signed on the permit, the septic was in that day, because it's been it's a money game. Every time I walk into the door, the first thing I ask him is, how much of my money do you want this week? Because
Funny money. They'll grab every dime you got.
oh yeah, no, it's been crazy though, because I mean that's what's been the holdup, is because the health department wouldn't come down until we removed trees. Well, then we removed trees, and then the health department said they wouldn't come down until we did an elevation survey because of the flood zone.
Yeah.
So it took 8 months to find somebody, because they're 8 months behind at everything. And so we finally had to hire some guy out of Indiana to come in and do the elevation survey, because we couldn't get anybody in Kentucky to do it.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, they're backed up.
That's what the thing is. Everybody says they're backed up now. So
Oh.
Of course, I guess there's a lot of building and stuff going on. But
Well, it's just everybody's backed up on supplies, and then once they get them in, everybody wants their jobs done, so they take in extra help to do it.
Brenda, my wife, just got her knee replacement, and so we had a tub. If you get a knee replacement,
I'll
they
never
get
do
away
it.
from going to
I'll never
3
do it
weeks.
again.
3 weeks, and
Oh,
we
honey.
we had a bathtub,
Yeah.
so we needed a walk-in shower. I mean, you just got to have it.
Yeah.
So we called, a guy come down, we called, and he come down that day. And they're from Lexington, and they said, I said, I tell you what, it was like $13,000 something. Get a walk-in
Yeah.
shower. I said, if you can put it in before my wife has her surgery, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
He said, I'll do the best I can. They called the next morning and said, we'll do it. We'll get it in. And then they set up the next morning to be here to put it in.
Yeah.
2 days. And I'm like, you can't, that's unheard of.
No, it is unheard of right now.
But I told them, you know, if you do it, and we didn't do them down, Holly.
Yeah, I did.
We need it done.
And that's just the thing, though, is because last year I started trying to get people to come down here to excavate. And Ron and Shirley told me about the gentleman down the road that has the big bulldozer. Well, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, so he was supposed to come down here last October and do it. Well, he would never answer my phone call. And then come springtime, I'm still sitting here with a whole bunch of trees, and the health department won't do anything until the trees are removed. So it's just been a big gerbil wheel. You know, they won't do anything until the trees are removed. Well, then, you know, I'll tell you what was the worst part of it all. After 16 months of getting the health department down there to do my perk test and do all that, you know, he looked at me. He was here 30 seconds. He looked at me and he said, oh, if I would have known it was this piece of property, I would have told you were good already.
Is that right?
I have 2 4-foot huge holes in my yard that he literally took a flashlight to for 5 seconds on each hole. And he was like, oh, you're good. And then he's like, well, if I would have known you were on this side of the street, I would have told you were good last year.
Yeah.
Because I had to fight him to get power. The only way I got power is I had to buy a camper that had a septic system in it.
Is that right?
Yes, because in the state of Kentucky, if you don't have a perk test done, then you're not allowed to have power or water.
Oh.
Yes, they're not allowed to put power or water unless you show a perk
many
test.
regulations, you just can't hardly do stuff.
But
like
because
this.
I bought a camper and it had a built-in septic tank, I bypassed the perk test because he wasn't going to come down last year because of all the trees. Well, you see what I did with the trees. I just had to push them to the front. I just haven't had time to deal with them because it's been trying to get... So, you know, I told my husband, I said, you know, I need to get up there because the water company, they're 3 months behind on water taps.
Is that right?
They said they don't have the parts. We put in for it 2 weeks ago, and they said that they're 3 months behind on water taps and that they'll get to us when they get parts.
You got drywall inside?
Nothing's inside right now. It's just frame.
That drywall's
Yeah, no, and that's why we didn't do it. That's why we didn't finish it out on the inside. We just had they framed it for 2 bedrooms, but we're taking one of the framings out anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Because yeah, there's some busted boards on one side and there's some other stuff going on the other side. So
I wouldn't have thought you could just pick it up and bend it.
well, it's the height over there that's causing them all the
It
problems.
must be built pretty good because
It's built by the Amish.
I mean Amish is good.
Yes.
They know what
I went down to Morning View and got it from Pleasant View Amish Homes. So that's where I went and did it. Oh yeah, all my barns are built by the Amish, except for the little gray, that little shed over there. I found that on the marketplace for $500. A 12 by 16 shed. I know, and it looks brand new on the inside.
Yeah.
So I paid $500. It cost me more to have it moved than it did for me to pay for it. But I wasn't gonna pass that up because you always need a shed somewhere. Well, we've got one in the very back. I don't know if you guys remember when we first moved in. We had a 25-foot shed moved to the very back. Yeah, but it was at our old place, but I wasn't about to give it up because it's Amish built too. So I wasn't about to give it up. So I just had to move it down here.
That must be as high as they can lift it.
Yeah. I think it's like 3.5 foot. They said it can go up. This is better than a mobile home. How's that? Fits a little bit more in. That's what I told my husband. I said, I don't want to put a tacky mobile home down there. And right now,
It looks real nice. I'll say that it does look nice.
it's 16 by 52, and it's got a 6 by 25 foot porch.
I told Brent I didn't know how big it is. Pretty nice size
Yeah.
building. Looked pretty big sitting out on the middle of the road.
I told him, I was like, I can't believe you're going to block up the road. Look, and they got front row seats right there. I saw them pull out their chairs. I was laughing. I was like, they got front row seats. But yeah, so I mean, it's been slow moving over here. I mean, I know everybody's like, what's that? I know Shirley asked me one day, she's like, girl, you always working over there. What are you getting done? I said, girl, there's so much to do. It's just, there's so much to do over here. And you know, I don't know what it is. There's a particular vine. Because you know, Tim didn't do nothing with this place.
Yeah.
He just let it grow over. And he'll even say that because he's got 40 acres up in Piner.
Yeah.
So he uses that up there. Well, growing through here right now, I've bought 3 chainsaws for myself. Because you see this? It's wrapped around every single tree in here.
You let them grow away. You're supposed to dig them and plant them out.
I know.
Everybody did.
Well, we're gonna have to go through because we're gonna keep all the pines because I didn't move down here to cut down all these trees, and I was kind of upset that I had to remove all of this. But in order to get a house in, you have to. But I'm gonna plant some back here behind the back for privacy.
Yeah.
But I gotta go in every other tree. I have to take out every other tree. Because when he planted them, you know, not to grow that big.
He was going to sell them.
Yeah. Well, he planted them so close together because they were never supposed to grow to full growth. Well, now because they're so close together, they're killing each other off.
Yeah.
So I have to go through and take out every other tree. It's gonna take me 5 years to get this done. Yeah, I mean,
You got plenty of work ahead of you.
I know my husband told me I had so much work to do. He told me to quit my job. I quit my job in February. Well, it's just so much. I mean, it's being here when these guys were down here building, being down here with the concrete, being down with the sep tank, running up and down to the planning and zoning about every 3 days. It's just,
It's a pain, I tell you that. Even if you have somebody else build your house, it's still a pain.
well, yeah, and that's just the thing though. And then because we have the dogs, we don't ever let anybody on the property unless they're concerned, you know, they're contained. None of my dogs are vicious, they just bark.
They look kind of vicious when they're out there running at, you know, barking.
I know, they just bark.
What was they after a dog yesterday? Was it yesterday or they had another little dog down, or was it a goat?
A goat.
Oh, they had a goat down?
They got one of my goats.
Didn't kill it, did they?
No, I just bought the goats onto the property because I'm
I
friends.
asked your husband last night. Well,
Yeah,
yesterday.
he said you asked.
I just kind of grinned.
I-
I'd like to have a couple myself.
I told him, I said, if that one don't stop jumping the fence, it's what it is one
you
jump the
can't
fence.
keep them in. I
Well,
don't know how you keep them in over there.
he's on a doggy leash right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he can reach the food and the water in his doghouse.
Yeah.
And other than that, though, right now.
I'd have some on me. I got 13.5 acres. I'd have some on me, but you can't keep them in.
Well, and this is the thing, though, is I got the goats to kind of help with this up here.
Yeah. They'll eat.
I'm going to
all kinds
fence
of
this
brush
from
and stuff.
here all the way across the front of the trees
they'll
up to
clean
the
it
fence. And I'm going to let them loose up here.
They're good for that.
I
I mean, they'll eat less grass. And
Well,
they'll
I've
keep
been
everything.
slowly trying to acclimate the dogs to him one by one. But what I didn't count on the other day is when they came out and he had jumped the fence,
Oh, yeah.
they went in pack mode on him.
They do that too, and it's scary.
Oh, it is. And thank God my husband heard me screaming because he came out with a shotgun and blew a shotgun in the ground, and it kind of scared him off enough for me to get him back up. But and that's why I put him on a chain because I keep him separated right now until I can get this area fenced over. But it just scares me when they do that pack stuff. It really does. It scares me when they do that.
I know. Well, it's scary.
It is. I mean, it's just, you know, I don't want anything hurt. I mean, I can't stand the idea of anything being hurt. Look at that. You know what? They might get this done today. What do you think?
They're going to get it on there. But
It's gonna be-
how he's going to do it.
Looks
Them
like
little things right there are pretty handy.
Yeah, they said that they hold up to 6,000 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow. But it's the height issue is what they're having problems with, is the height. And my husband took off as soon as they got here. Well, before they got here.
You didn't want to fool with him, did he?
No. He ordered
That's a good idea.
No, he ordered a gun 2 years ago and it just got sent in. It was a custom built gun for him for his 50th birthday.
Yeah.
And it took 2 years for them to build it.
Oh.
And it just come in today. Like of all days for it to
That's a
come
good day
in.
For me, I just go, he's best probably out of here. Because this is making a nervous wreck. It wouldn't be. It makes me nervous enough. It ain't even mine. I'm thinking, how are they going to do that?
So he's over there picking up his new toy, and he don't care that the house is here.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you deal with that. He's like, I'm going to get my gun. I'm like, whatever. No, he just turned 50 last year, so I told him to pick a gun, whatever he wanted, and he could get it. Because he's old military.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about the military guys, but they just love their little bitty toys.
Well, I like them myself. We'll get that one leg up on there. It should be good. It should slide.
Yeah.
So that's 52 foot long.
Yeah.
Quite a house. I like the looks of it.
That's right. I thought it was beautiful. I was like, I think that'll fit in perfectly down there.
Yeah.
It won't stick out like a sore thumb. Hopefully it'll look like trees from the air.
It looks good. I like it.
I'm trying not to do anything to make the neighborhood look kind of city. Because I told my husband, I said, I didn't move down here to make it look city. And that's like my chickens. I moved all my chickens to the back because they were a hot mess, and then they were squawking all night long. And I was like, well, I don't want him, I don't want...
Any eggs?
They're not old enough yet. I'm still about a month out. But when they start getting eggs, I'm actually going to put a table up on the front, and I'm just going to set extras out there. And whoever wants them can take them. Yeah, because I've got 30 chickens.
30.
Yeah, so I'm going to have way more than I need. So I told my husband, I said, I'm just going to put a table out front, and whenever I have extra eggs or whatever. Well, I don't have my garden in yet. I'm going to do my garden next spring. I've just been too wrapped up in this year to even get my garden started. But this has been a project in the making since 2012.
Oh, is that right?
I moved from Newport down to Crittenden in 2012 and started looking for land. So this has been a project in the making since 2012.
I've been out here about 35 years of it.
Yeah. I love it.
So that's-
I love it
I
out
like it
here.
out here.
I do.
Of course, to go get a sandwich, it's a half an hour. But, you know what I mean? But,
I've learned to like lunch meat just so I don't have to go anywhere.
right, just go get a sandwich.
I have. I've learned to like lunch meat and quick fix meals just so I didn't have to go anywhere. I mean, but you know what though? But that's a part of it. Is is not being close to
I worry
everything.
about, well, I'm 75 and Brenda's 73. She'll be 74. I'm thinking we're getting up there to where you don't want to call the ambulance here,
No.
Tennessee County, because they just
No. That's what Shirley was telling me. Shirley said,
They
don't
just-
call the ambulance, don't call the fire
get
department.
your car and get yourself to the hospital.
Yeah.
Time they get here and get you going. And,
You might as well. You could have already been there.
well, they had a wreck over in front of the house there one night. And they come in, those guys up walking around and going fine. Well, they cut the shirt off of him. It's like, what are you doing? This guy's walking around. He ain't even hurt. But they just, I don't know, silly. So I thought, if I have trouble, I'm going to get in the car and go to the hospital if I can.
Well, I'm always home 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So before you head over there, I'm going to give you my phone number. Ron and Shirley already have it. Shirley calls me all the time. And if anything happens or you guys need anything, I'm home all the time. I mean, I literally am here. You may not see the cars, but I'm always here. I try not to leave this property, believe it or not, because I get aggravated with driving into the city. So that last road down there keeps popping. And the guy here in the blue shirt is the owner of the company that moves these. With the button down. Because they came in, they did my foundation, they did my septic, and they did my cabin. Now they're not the Amish. They're just the guys that come in and deliver. They did my septic and they did my foundation. But yeah, he gave me 2 hours notice. He's like, oh, I'm on my way. I'll be there in 2 hours. Really? That's it?
Where'd he build it at?
Over in Morning View. Yeah. Yeah, there's a Amish community over there called Pleasant View. and they have a little store over there, like a showroom. They got some beautiful stuff, but yeah, it's about an hour and 15-minute drive, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I mean, it's beautiful stuff. I mean, even if it's just to go look, they have a gazebo over there that's 10 grand. I told my husband, I said, that'll be next, because it's a double gazebo. It's big enough to put like a swing in it. You can get a grill in there. You can get a picnic table in there. So it's a pretty good sized gazebo. And it's covered and you know, and I want to say netted in. I don't know how you say, screened in. It was screened in. I don't know why I couldn't figure out that word. Looking good. It's looking good. It's not too bad. I haven't had a nervous breakdown yet. Well, I have to film it because my insurance guy was supposed to be here, because they're gonna insure it for like as a home, and so he was supposed to be here today to see the when they put it on the foundation to make sure there wasn't any structural issues, and they didn't give me enough time to get him here. So he's like, well, you've got to film the whole thing. I'm like, well, I was planning on not watching, because that guy told me, he said, don't watch. He said, it'll cause you to have a nervous breakdown.
It would drive me nuts. If I got something to do, if I don't go in and do it,
I know.
I got to do it right then. If I got something to do, this would drive me nuts.
Yeah. And I really can't believe that my husband bailed.
Well, it might not be a bad idea.
He just took off. He went to the store. He said, I'm going to pick up my gun. Bye. I said, well, alrighty then. Oh, no, there he is. He comes home when it's all over. All the heart attack work's over. Now they just got to get it up there. Once it's all set up and done, that's what I told Brenda. We're going to have a big old grill out and everybody's going to get to come see what I've been hiding back here and doing.
Well, it looks good for that. I like your house.
So,
looks like you got it on there good. I'll see you later.
Will you be careful, sweetheart? Hey, tell Brenda to use cabbage leaves on her knees. Remember back in the old days when they used to crush up cabbage leaves and wrap it around for swelling?
Yeah.
I didn't find anything worked better than that.
Well, she ain't had too much swelling, but
Yeah.
she's been icing it.
Yeah,
Icing it.
mine's been 2 years and I'm still not.
Are you not right?
No, my husband had his shoulder rebuilt in April of this year over at UC. And the UC doctor that did his shoulder is going to go back in and do some scans on my knee and make sure over at Beacon. Yeah. And it's just never been right. Yeah. Who did hers? Who was he with? Ortho Cincy? Okay. Yeah, my husband went to UC and he said I shouldn't be having the problems that I'm having 2 years later. So he's going to go back in and look at it and just make sure that everything's right. So, but tell her if she ever needs anything, I'm always home. You better bring me something to drink. Because you bailed on me and ran. You see the front where it's all scratched up? They busted a board down there. The trim is coming off the side. It's almost fell over. It's been sitting on the side, on the front, almost. Yeah, it's really a nervous breakdown kind of moment. Because Chris Johnson's supposed to be here right now, but he's not because we didn't have time. Oh yeah, here, walk this way. Well, I really haven't been watching. I've been filming the whole thing. He stood over here the whole time. He's like, I just didn't know how it was going to happen. It's Brenda's husband. The one I asked you about the goats. I don't know.